Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. This is the TAFA and chart analysis for January 4th, 2021. Just got my COVID booster shot, arms a little sore, but not much else. Right now, we are at a critical point because we're at 47,800, which is almost the same point, if not slightly lower than the last bottom point here, which I think might have been at 45,900 if I remember correctly. About 70 points lower. That's not such a big deal. However, if we fall a couple hundred points lower, that means we're probably still in a downtrend, at least for the next few weeks. Obviously, this kind of downtrend, this downtrend here has only lasted from December 3rd to around January 4th, so about a month, whereas this downtrend basically started from May and lasted until probably like a little bit more than a month. So this actually lasted a couple more days than our current downtrend. So my guess is if we actually fall significantly below 45,800 or so, 45,700, we'll probably be going down again for another let's say like half a month to a month, because that's just how long this has lasted. And right now, this lull is seeming to last as long as this lull, with kind of the same downtrend, although not quite as negative. It's still pointing negative right now. So I'm basically comparing this point to around this point right now. So at this point last time, we were a little bit more than halfway through the downtrend. I would say we're probably a little bit more than halfway through the downtrend here as well. Starting on December 6th or 7th, almost a month, we probably have maybe like 3 weeks of this downtrend left, if this actually pattern shows through. However, the bottom points of this downtrend are nowhere near the bottom points of this downtrend over here, which were at a much lower rate of 31,000. So the peak of the next trend would actually be around around 80,000 or so, which would be really, really nice. So that's kind of like where I'm looking at the trend right now. I originally thought like this lull here we're having would be shorter than the lull we had in the beginning of the year, but that was only really 2 months, and we're already a month into this lull. So it could be like by February, around beginning of February, that we start to go back up. So we might have to wait for another month, because that's just how the pattern I'm seeing going compared to 6 months ago, which is what I'm comparing it to, because the 4-year cycle actually might be obsolete and we might be in for shorter 6-month cycles. And as you can see, we have like a 2-month bear trend right now, and then we have another bullish trend from July until November, which is 4 months, and we're going to go a lot higher. That's what I'm actually looking at right now. In terms of technical analysis, the oscillators, they are honestly neutral to me. The commodity channel index is getting very, very close to oversold. The stochastic is oversold. The RSI is neutral, and the awesome oscillator hasn't really, I don't think it's actually crossed zero for a couple of days. The average directional index is the same as the last few days. It really hasn't changed too much, essentially in the last 24 hours. So right now, I'm going to say the oscillators are slightly, are pretty much neutral, maybe a slight negative like they show, but pretty neutral. In terms of the moving averages, you're looking at a strong sell signal, obviously, because every one of them is essentially negative at this point. We're below the EMAs and the SMAs. So, and we're significantly below even the 10. So like we actually need to first hit 47,500, and then around 49,500, and then finally we need to break about 50. I would say we need to break around like 52,000 to actually be fully positive again, and we're around $7,000 under that point. So like short term for the next few days, the indicators actually say negative. I'm going to go ahead and say it's neutral. I think it's possible, looking at this graph, that we will actually drop. Probably like, because from here we did drop about $2,000, $3,000 more. So I think like the original thing about around like 43,000 could actually be the absolute bottom that we have for this cycle. So there could be another $2,000-$3,000 drop based on the patterns of the last 6 months. In terms of the weekly, The oscillators are pretty neutral. There is no average directional index. There's no trend forming. So since the oscillators are neutral, I'm just going to say they're neutral on that. The exponential moving average and the simple moving average are all on a sell up until the 50, but on the weekly, I only really look until the 30, and it's a pretty strong sell signal there. Obviously, 100 and 200 are going to be buy, but that's way too far back. So I would say like the moving averages are fairly strong sell right now for the next week or two. And that kind of lines up with what I've been saying with the graph. Of course, the TA stuff could be totally wrong. I mean, it has been totally wrong before, especially on a day and week by week basis, because recently it seems to be flipping around a lot. Like, 1 week will be at 45, 46, the other next week will be at like 50 something, then go back and forth. And if you actually look at the graph of the 6 months ago, that's exactly what we did. We were like up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, but overall we were down until like about 2 months in. So end of February, beginning of February should be like where we really, really start to climb. If you believe in the new 6 month cycles. On the monthly, right now, obviously the monthly is always going to say buy. The oscillators are neutral, but on the monthly, I only look at the 10 month. 20, 30, 40 months, you're always going to be positive unless you get a multi-year bear market, unless you're a couple of months into a multi-year bear market. So right now, I'm going to say like, maybe January won't be as positive as we thought, at least until the second half of January. And maybe we'll even bottom out the second half of January. And then during February, we will actually rise back up because according to the new 6 month cycle, that's kind of what we'll actually do. You can see that we had a really big bullish market from 2020 into 2021 that lasted all the way up until essentially May or April. Really it lasted until April, but it was pretty bullish until May, and then it dropped off, and then it became bullish again in July, and then July through November it was bullish, and then it dropped off again December, and then all through December, and then it might last through all of January too. So this lull might be maybe a month longer, but if the 6 month cycle is actually holding true, we should see a much bigger rise towards beginning maybe second week of February. So that's where I am kind of on the TA, and I think that kind of lines up with the hash rate right now. The hash rate is actually pretty close to an all-time high, but as you can see on the hash rate, the oscillations are getting shorter and shorter. It does look like the hash rate graph is kind of coiling up, and it should coil for at least a couple more weeks until we get to almost an even point and then head straight up, because the overall hash rate graph is actually positive. So once we hit that point where we head straight up, I do believe the price will inevitably follow, maybe with a week or two's delay. So that's kind of like the TA for right now. We know that more billionaires on the fundamental side, we know that more billionaires are buying into Bitcoin. We know that funds are looking into Bitcoin. Some other countries have banned Bitcoin, but there's countries making Bitcoin legal tender. The regulations are getting into place in the United States, and other countries are looking to be more friendly for Bitcoin because they want to be part of the new world economy. We'll have to see how the regulations work out in 2022, but I think overall they'll actually be favorable. Also, the expansion of NFTs and DeFi, I think, will take a lot of the smaller countries by storm. I don't think the bigger countries can just outright ban them, so they'll have to adopt along too. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button, and I will see you guys later.